Alrighty. Well, I just remembered another story, so I'm going to tell you this story too. It's a story my dad told me, and again, it's from the 1950s. And anyway, in 1958, there was a beer strike in Ontario. The workers at the brewers' retail stores in Ontario all went on strike, so you couldn't buy beer in Ontario. Um, for the duration of the strike, you couldn't buy any beer. Now, of course, in Quebec, you could buy beer in the province of Quebec, which isn't that far from here. Um, the province of Quebec's only about an hour's drive away, but it was illegal to go over to Quebec and bring beer back with you into Ontario. It was actually quite illegal. But anyway, my dad and one of his friends decided they were going to go to Quebec and they were going to load the trunk of the car up with beer, cases of beer, and bring it back. And so this is what they did. Now you go over a bridge from the city of Ottawa to go over into Hull, Quebec, which is where they went. They went into Hull, Quebec, Hull, Quebec, Hull, which is on the other side of the river from Ottawa, in the city of Ottawa. Anyway, they go over to Hull, Quebec, go drive to Ottawa, drive across the bridge into Hull. They get some beer, and they're coming back. They've got the trunk of the car loaded with beer. And ahead of them, there's a hearse. The car ahead of them is actually a hearse. And they can see through the window in the hearse, in the back window in the door of the hearse, that there's a coffin in there. Of course, they think that they're just, transporting a dead body or whatever. They don't really think much of it. They figure, well, there's somebody dead in there and they're bringing the body from point A to point B or whatever. So anyway, Rocky's at the door. I can hear him meow and he wants to go out. I'll let him out in just a minute. But anyway, I want to finish my story. So they're back on the bridge, heading from Hull back over to Ottawa with the trunk of the car full of beer. And as they're going across the bridge, they got this hearse ahead of them that has a coffin in the back of it. Well, all of a sudden, all these cops, they come up the bridge and they surround the hearse. You can hear Rocky, he wants to go out. Anyway, they surround the hearse and they haul the driver of the hearse out of there at gunpoint. The driver of the hearse and his passenger, he had a passenger with him. They hauled the two of them out of the hearse at gunpoint. And they open the back door of the hearse and they open up the coffin. And the coffin was full of beer. They actually were bringing a load of beer across in a coffin in the back of a hearse, these guys were. Anyway, my dad and his friend didn't get caught because the police were too busy dealing with the guy with the hearse, full of beer. But anyway, that's a story my dad told me too, something that happened. I guess they were pretty scared. They figured the cops were going to come back and nail them next, but they didn't. Anyway, they just were after this specific vehicle, this hearse. They must have got tipped off that there was a hearse coming across with a load of beer or something, because they zeroed in on that specific vehicle. I'll bet you most of the vehicles coming across were full of beer, though. Really. I would be willing to bet that the majority of the cars on that bridge that day coming from Hull back into Ottawa, any vehicle with Ontario license plates at least, probably was full of beer. I know the vehicle my dad and his friend were in had a trunk full of beer. Anyway, if they had went back and opened that up, they would have caught them too. But they didn't. Anyway, they were happy just to get the just to get that hearse. I guess that's what they were after. Anyway, Rocky really wants to go out, and he's not taking no for an answer. Are ya? See, he says no. No, I'm not. All right, here we go. There you go, my friend. Enjoy your outside time, eh? See, he doesn't even need to use the door. He's got his own little place there he can come and go through. There you go. Quite the cat he is. Okay, well, there's my one roof panel. All right. Okay, guys. Well, we'll see you later.